Hey guys, Sonny Bryson here, and welcome back to the channel. And in this video, I'm going to give you the best investment apps for beginners if you're interested in investor money and having an app that's going to last you a lifetime. That is what I was looking for when I first started investing, and I wish I saw one of these videos. So by the way, I spent an entire year testing out a bunch of different apps to find out exactly which one fit me best, and I found the perfect app, and I'm going to share with you guys in this video. But before I get to that one exactly and why I like it so much, I'm going to go through the good ones, the bad ones, and the very ugly ones. And by the way, my favorite one turned into one of the ugliest ones possible because they had a little secret feature or a little clause that allowed them to do whatever they wanted, and you want to look out for those things. And that's why I'm making this video, to make sure you avoid all those mistakes that I made initially. Basically, I took one for the team so you don't have to. And by the way, don't be afraid to say, hey, Tommy, I watched this whole video. I found 3 I actually like. So do I apply for all of them to see which one I like the most? The answer is yes. Like, try these things out. It's not like you're applying for a credit card or a loan. You're not going to get hit with your credit score. No one's going to steal your information. Like, these apps are legit. You're going to be just fine. Nothing's going to happen. But the best thing possible is to try them out to see which one works best for you. That way, you can make a choice you can actually live with. Because my whole goal is always long-term, okay? That's why we call ourselves long-term team. So whatever you pick, you're going to pick for a very long time. So make sure you actually like it, so that way you don't end up having to transfer from this one to that one like I did when I was testing them all out over a period of an entire year. But it makes for a good video because I have such a vast amount of knowledge when it comes to all these apps. I should be an apps advisor. But furthermore, let's get started into this video. As always, like this video, and top out. Also, if you're new here, subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified, because I do post videos every single week on apps, on investing, on budgets, on just making you money in some way or saving you money somehow, some way. Now, overall, there are a bunch of different apps you can have on this little device right here. These are all going to be apps you can basically download on your phone, whether you have an Android or whether you have, for example, an Apple device. But one main thing is, if you're watching this entire video from another country, then it is different for you. Us in the US, we have a lot more options than people, for example, in Canada, in Europe, and especially like in Africa and so on. So when it comes to those places, some of these might work, but usually look at Interactive Broker. They basically work everywhere else on this planet. And also TD Ameritrade works everywhere, absolutely most of the time. But these applications usually are more US focus, okay? Now, overall, I'm gonna go over Acorns, Sofi Money, Robinhood, M1 Finance, the Cash App, the Stash App, Vanguard, TD Ameritrade, Fidelity, and also Charles Schwab. And there is one main thing that I want to break down here. When I'm looking for an app that I'm gonna use for a very long time, I'm looking for 5 main things. The first thing is, if the app is super cheap, great. I don't want to pay more than $1 a month. If it gets beyond that, I go crazy. I start going crazy, okay? But overall, the best option to cheat is always going to be free. If it is free to invest, free to have the account, free to have all the features, that always sounds a lot better to me. I hate having to pay extra money to have a little Roth IRA or to have an account for my kids, a 529 account. I hate all that stuff because in reality, you're making money off of me either way by me having my money in there. So why do I have to pay you to be a part of the platform that's already making you money? That's the first thing. Second thing is, I want to have an application that focuses on automation over the long run. Now that means, for example, I want to invest my money automatically. So if I say I want to have $500 pulled from my account every week to invest, great. Or 10% of my money, great. On top of that, I want my portfolio to actually stay at balance overall. That basically means that if I want to have 50% stocks, 50% bonds, basically, whenever I invest money, make sure they go directly into what they need to go to keep that main balance. And then thirdly, I want to have the feature to actually click one button and make everything balance out. Because sometimes if stocks go crazy high, the balance is going to get out of order, right? Naturally. If I click a button, it's going to be a lot easier to sell basically what's so high and then buy what's low to have the perfect balance that you actually want. That's having a portfolio that's fully balanced to basically limit your risk exposure. All these features Although it sounds complicated, it's not that hard to actually do. And a lot of apps don't have them because they want you to focus on gamifying the stock market so you can basically buy, sell, and they make money off of those little fees they basically charge you whenever you do a trade. Even Robinhood has a very small fee that you don't notice, but there is one there. And when they have so much volume, they make millions of dollars from it. You might not know it, but that's how they do it, okay? Now, third, I also want an app that has great customer service. Now, everything online, if it is online, is usually going to be a lot cheaper. So that's why I love online brokers. But it is a nightmare whenever you have a problem in the real world. And now all of a sudden you can't reach anybody out there, but you can only reach them by email. Now, one company that gets a lot of heat for this is called the Cash App. They get so much heat because they don't answer the emails on a timely fashion and they don't do that well with customer service. But to me, having a phone line I can reach to is very important. So having an app basically that doesn't hide their phone number is important to me because a lot of these apps, you gotta play tricks to find the customer service phone number, and I don't like that. I get it. You want to keep costs down, but we are investing money, right? So at least give us the alternative to say, hey, if I have an emergency, I want to be able to reach one of you guys immediately, okay? Because that makes a lot of sense. Now, number 4, I want to make sure the account is actually SIPC insured. Now, that's basically like FDIC insurance. And what that means is if the broker goes down, I want to have my money, my investments basically insured up to a certain amount, usually around $250,000, with some account even higher. But that means that you guys might not know this, okay? But you might be making all the great investments, but the brokerage might be doing a lot of fuzzy stuff. And before you know it, they go broke. And if they're not insured, then you go broke, okay? Because you lose everything too. So you want to make sure that entire brokerage is basically secured and everything is going to be fine. Now, number 5 and last thing I want to look for is an application that looks nice, is easy to use, and easy to interact with. I hate whenever me, a normal person, normal customer, can go inside of an app and see something that is being done that could be better. Like, I should not be able to do that. Like, everything should be put in a way where basically everything is smooth. Like, all we're doing here is literally buying something, holding it for a very long time, looking for investments, and then selling whenever we sell. Like, it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. So simplicity and looks are very important, and I don't like making things super complicated for the sake of trying to be complicated and more fancy than other applications, okay? Now, overall, those are the 5 features I'm looking for. Most likely, most of you guys are looking for the same features overall. So automatically, some apps that I'm gonna rule out because I'm not a big fan of robo-advising. I'm not a big fan of paying fees. And by the way, robo-advising is basically when you have an advisor. It's really pretty much like a software that advises you basically on what you're going to invest into and then manage your whole portfolio. And they usually charge you around 0.25%. And that might not sound like a lot, but trust me when I say this, guys. If you have a portfolio, right, that's making you, let's say, 8%. Well, you have inflation. That's like 2-3%. That's basically gone. You have taxes like 1-2%. Then you have, for example, the fees of the actual investments, okay, because they have maintenance fees, okay. That's natural. That's normal. But then you have also the whole robo investment advisor fee stuff, and then maybe like the application fee. All these things add up, and before you know it, they're stealing thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars from you. And when you compound that over the long term, it can turn into $100,000 just like that. So fees, I'm not a big fan of. Paying somebody to manage something, I'm not a big fan of either, because if you know what you're doing and you kind of understand it, and you will by the end of this video, you don't need to pay somebody. Basically, it doesn't sound like a lot, like 0.25%, that's like a $2.50 per every $1,000. Yeah, it's not a lot when you don't have that much money in there, but we invest to have a lot of money in the future, right? So when you have a lot of money in the future, would you be comfortable paying so much money? The answer is probably like not. It would not make any sense whatsoever, okay? So automatically, I'm throwing out Betterment because Betterment is an application that's basically more like robo-advising. Not a big fan of it, honestly. I'm also throwing out Invest. I can't even spell this whole thing, but it's INVSTR. That's how you spell investor, I guess it is. But the cool features in this application, and it does look nice, you have to pay for them, like the cool features. So I don't like that. I don't like to have a wall there to prevent me from doing the cool things. So now I gotta pay you $4 or $3 a month to actually get access. I don't like it. It's pretty corny to me. The Stash app. I used to think it was pretty cool, but then I noticed that it was kind of like limited in a sense. And on top of that, to get like all the cool features is like $9, I think now. So I don't really want to pay that, okay? But it's $1 to get started if you want to do it. But again, not really the investment app I'm looking for. And it doesn't really have long-term applications inside of it. And I don't like that. Now, number 4, E-Trade. Old. Just gonna leave it there, okay? And I started out with E-Trade when I made my first investments, by the way, like early on when I was 19 years old. And back then they had fees, okay? So it was pretty crazy. But E-Trade is just kind of old-fashioned, honestly. And there are a lot better applications out there. So that's why I'm throwing that one out automatically. So Wealthfront is also like a robo-advisor one. Not a big fan of that too. And also, usually any bank like Chase that also has, for example, an investment feature, you want to throw those things out because usually a good bank is not always going to be a good investment platform. They might be heavily limited on their investments, and on top of that, they might charge you stupid fees. Sorry about that. Did I just lose my composure here? But they might charge you some stupid fees, okay? That's the whole idea. I don't like fees, as you can obviously tell. So automatically, I'm throwing out most of these applications right here. Now, what are we left with, okay? Now, by the way, guys, these applications I'm going to go over here are the ones I've used so far, right? And I've used a lot of them. And I'm going to show you on my phone exactly how they'll work. I'll give you like a brief tutorial so this way you kind of know how everything works. But overall, I'm going to be honest, like fully honest. It's my opinion. I don't want to be sued. It's just anecdotal evidence. I'm not accusing anybody. It's just my opinion for entertaining purposes only. There you go. That's what my lawyer sent me in writing before I made this video. So the first app right off the bat is going to be the Acorns app. And here, I actually still have some money. And by the way, I gotta be honest with you guys, this was the first application that I used, like as far as like apps wise, and I loved this so much. It was so smooth, everything was so nice and amazing, and they gave you a portfolio that was based on your risk tolerance. So if you wanted to take risks, you use this portfolio. If you wanted to be more conservative, you use another one. But I stopped using it for a specific reason, and the idea was very simple. They had a whole deal, allegedly, with BlackRock, which is also an investment company, and they switched all of the investments. Now, by the way, when you invest into a company that's called Acorns, you expect to have acorns. That's a seed for a tree that takes years to grow. Everything is going to be the same. Nothing's going to change like crazy, but it changed like crazy, okay? They switch over the investments. They sold some of my investments to buy those ones. That cost me money on taxes, allegedly. And I didn't like that, okay? So I switched over completely because I never wanted to have an app that gave so much power, or that I gave so much power to make these decisions for me. Now, on top of that, it does cost $1 to me. It really wasn't so much of a big deal, if I'm being honest, like just $1, but no like portfolio percentage. That was a big deal too. But overall, you also have to pay extra money. Like if you had kids, like that's an extra $5 and so on. Like I was just like, I just cannot be bothered anymore. So I stopped using it. So as you can see right here, I have money in there, but it's really money that I've made from referring people back in the day. It's not really money I'm investing. So back in the day, as you can see, I had over $33,000 invested, and then boom, I just basically sold everything and got out because it made no sense. And it grew again, then I got out again, okay? Because it made no sense again, okay? But yeah, that's the whole idea. They had the ability or have the ability to make too many changes, and I don't like that. I don't like that if I want to have something for the long run, that you can make a change, it can cost me a lot of money in taxes. So I'd rather not even give you the ability to actually do that. Now, the second app is going to be the Sofi Money app. Now, the Sofi Money app, and by the way, all the accounts are basically negative because, again, all I have in there is things that were left over after I switched everything over to my main broker, okay? But overall, Sofi is the account I use to bank with, like my actual checkings accounts and savings accounts, they're in here, okay? But I tried out the investment app because the investment app has everything. If you want to do Bitcoin, cool stuff. I don't care about that stuff, obviously. If you want to do long-term investments, there are also some cool ones here, like, you know, VOO and so on. But then, like, there was no actual way to create a portfolio, to have that portfolio take money automatically from your account and invest in there, to have everything balanced out. All I noticed from this application was basically it gave you the ability to buy stocks freely, which is cool stuff, but it didn't give you any long-term perspective. So to me, it made absolutely no sense. But one thing about Sofi and their people is their customer service is immaculate. It is amazing. But if they had like a platform and software where it made it easier to just invest for the long run, I would basically do that with like in a heartbeat, okay? And by the way, as you can see here, all I have in here is J&J, which basically a free stock from you guys. And I have Microsoft, which is basically also a free stock from Robinhood. Like these are not my real investments, okay? But I did make some investments here not so long ago. Well, actually a pretty long, see right here, this is when I was taking out all my money from this account. But I made a big trade, I don't know when, but I made like I think it was like yeah, here it is. I made like $28,000 from one trade because I bought Delta, and that's when I was basically buying stocks. So if you want to like buy individual stocks and then sell, this app works great. But if you want something that's for a long run, a portfolio balanced out, it's not the one for you, okay? Then you obviously have, for example, the Robinhood app, and this one right here, I gotta be honest with you guys, okay? Robinhood was also a big app, big proponent, and I'm happy they came out because they were the app that made basically invest in free trades like for everyone. They set that standard, so that's pretty cool. But overall, again, Robinhood, same thing as, for example, like SoFi. You're just basically buying investments, you're making trades, and it's kind of like a gamifying version of it because it kind of looks cool, but nothing's really going on here. Like, I wish you could actually make a list, right? And having your list that be your portfolio, and then you're able to automatically invest money into it for the long run. But again, that doesn't really benefit them that well as much as, for example, all the option trading and all of the margins they're actually making money from. So to me, this application is not what I want as far as long run, and that's why I don't use it. And by the way, if you're wondering, Tommy, you own Bitcoin? The answer is yes. I actually do own some Bitcoin. And when I bought Bitcoin, I bought it at 10,000. Okay, so I'm still up like 200%, but I bought it for a video. Like it wasn't an investment. It was a video that I made talking about how volatile this thing is, and it made sense because it is volatile. I made some money, I took it out, and I put it into my long-term portfolio because that's what I really care about. So yeah, see, average cost was 10,000. I'm not lying. I'm pretty honest about everything. Now, the Cash App is also another app that I used to use back in the day. Now, the Cash App also has an investment platform in case you guys didn't know. So if you go right here, this is the investment platform. And by the way, all these accounts have money because there's some leftover money in there, surprisingly. And they also have Bitcoin stuff in here, but again, I'm not interested in that. But again, here I have, for example, Vanguard, and I also have, for example, Apple investments. But overall, again, it's a cool platform. If what you want to do is invest even with $1, I mean, that's awesome. You can actually buy $1 worth of investment. That's cool stuff, right? But the main thing is, like, you can't really have something for the long term. So that's why I disqualify this one, and it's why it's not the one that I basically use. But if you just basically want to use it for like picking stocks and so on, it's fine. Like, it's perfectly normal. Any of these apps work for like picking stocks, but if you want to do like long-term stuff with a portfolio and balancing out, it's not the one for you. Then you have like the Vanguard, right? Vanguard is very old-fashioned. You can't even like pick investments from in here like at all. So it kind of sucks in my opinion. But Vanguard is a great company, like amazing. Like all the investments I invest into, their Vanguard investment. Customer service is amazing. It's just their software basically lacks. And the money I have in here is basically for retirement funds, okay? It's my 401k money and so on. So that's the money I have in here. Now, the last four, I'm going to the last three here, I'm going to put it kind of like in a bundle here because that's basically, for example, TD Ameritrade, Fidelity, and also Charles Schwab's. These are also amazing companies that do investments. They're basically free to use and amazing, but overall, again, the software just lacks in the department of long-term investments. But if you're interested, for example, in having a 529 account for your kids, a Roth IRA, a 401k with some of these accounts too, they actually do all that managing stuff and they work great. And some of them are even in Canada and in Europe, so it actually works amazingly. But again, for what I'm looking for, which is customer service, it's on point. Free, on point. Easy to use, on point. But as far as, for example, long-term perspective with portfolios and so on, the only one that comes a little close is Charles Schwab. But for the most part, TD Ameritrade and also Fidelity, they're just not there. Not to say they're bad companies and bad apps to actually use, but they're just not what I'm looking for right now. If I were picking stocks, then obviously these apps would be a lot better than the one I'm going to tell you right now, and it's the one I use where all my money's basically at when it comes to investing. Now, this app right here is called M1 Finance. And it's honestly the app. If you watched my video on M1 Finance from a long time ago, I gave this app so much trash because I hated it so much in the beginning. But then I was like, well, this app really does have all the features that I care about. It's free to use. It has long-term perspective. It has great customer service. It has all the balancing things that I need. Like everything that I needed it to click, it clicked and it made sense. So once I gave it a try and I dove inside of it and I really understood it, there's just a small learning curve. So although it is easy to use, it's not the easiest to actually use. Okay, so here it is right here. This right here is my entire investment accounts with M1 Finance. And again, everything is down right now because the market is down overall. So it's a real video. When you watch these videos, it's basically on the market. Some videos are basically all the way up, videos are down, whatever. It's just a part of the market. Now overall, if you notice here, what do I care about the most, right? I care about having a portfolio. Now this right here is my portfolio, which is basically my collection of investments. And I only have 5. That's all I have, just 5 right here. But these 5 are basically invested into in a different rate. Some have 40%, 20%, 20%, 10%, 10%. So whenever I invest $10, for example, I want $4 to go to the 40% one. I want $2 for the other one, $2 for the other one, and $1 and $1 for the other one to add up to $10 overall, right? That's the idea. So I want to make sure that everything can be done automatically for me. That is very important for me. And on top of that, if I have my entire portfolio like this, which is basically out of balance, I want to be able to click a button and say, hey, I want to rebalance automatically, and boom, the feature is right there. If I want to go ahead and do some research, all the features, all the information is right here. If I want to build different portfolios to have them there in case I want to switch over one day, everything is right here. Now, can they go ahead and say, and by the way, if I want to pick a portfolio by an expert, which by the way, I really don't care, I could actually find them right here and pick one by an expert, okay? But I really couldn't care less, because once you understand it, you know exactly what to do. And investing is one of these only things that basically the experts don't do better than for, say, a person that really just understands it and is willing to stick to what they know for a very long time. It's one of those things that is actually pretty amazing, and that's why I love investing. And if I want to make a call to M1 Finance, I can, because they do have a customer service line. If I want to have my money, for example, in my savings accounts in here, I can, because they actually allow that. I only have like $4 in here because I'm not using them, for example, as my bank. I use Sofi. Sofi sends the money automatically to them. And on top of that, if I want to go ahead and say, hey, I want to borrow some money, I can borrow money against my portfolio. Do I recommend that? The answer is absolutely not. Don't do that. It's very stupid, because you're leveraging the things you need to buy something you might not need. So don't do that at all. And these rates can go up and down whenever they want to. So I wouldn't do that, because basically not the best strategy for you. And the big thing is, like, if I want to go ahead and I want to click invest, right, and I want to click deposit, I can basically set a rule, like switch to recurring transfer. I can set a rule where basically every week on Mondays, that money is transferred automatically in. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, all the features that you want as a long-term investor, they're basically in here. But overall, if you're asking me, Tommy, what is the best app for long-term investors? I gotta go with M1 Finance. If you're asking me, Tommy, what is the best app for investors that want to pick stocks? I gotta go with Robinhood. Robinhood makes trades just like this. They're free. They give you options. Everything is right there. And when I say options, I say options, not like the actual investment options and puts and calls. That's very stupid. That's not what I do. But Robinhood is very good for that. But even Robinhood or Sofi Money or the Cash App or any of those other apps, they work just fine, because they're also free and they basically make the trades right away too. Now, if you want to do, for example, robo investing, Wealth from Betterment, they're pretty fine too. But again, I just can't see myself paying for that stuff. It makes absolutely no sense. It's just to say that, for example, and if you want, for example, some like institutional investment firms that have been around for a very long time, and you can talk to your parents about it, then the best ones obviously are Vanguard, Fidelity, TD Ameritrade, and also Charles Schwab. Those right there are the best. But my opinion is M1 Finance is overall the best one. Now, if you want to copy my portfolio and exactly what I invest my money into, I have a link down below to M1 Finance. And when you click that link, it takes you directly over to M1 Finance, gives you $10, and it also shows you my portfolio, and you can create one right away. And by the way, with M1 Finance, I sound like I'm sponsoring them, but I'm not. Like, when I really like a product, and I hope one day I get sponsored by them, like, honestly, like, they're a great company. But overall, when I like a product, I don't mind promoting it because it's a great product and it solves problems. You can have a Roth IRA with them. You can have a 529 account for your kids with them. You can roll over your 401k in there with them. Like, everything can be done right in there, and it's all long-term perspective. The main cons are they do charge you $125 a year if you want to have other features. You don't need those features. I don't have those features and I have a lot of money in there. Like, you don't need those features. And on top of that, they're not for like quick investments, right? They're not like, well, you know, the market is super down right now, I gotta take advantage. No, because they make their trades every day like around 9 a.m. I think, or not, I think like 10 a.m. and almost like 2 p.m. or so. So they have trading windows where they actually invest in money. So it's not like, oh my gosh, this stock is down by 50%, I gotta buy right now. This is not the app for you. Like, for that, go to Robinhood, Sofi Money, the Cash App. Those applications are basically focused on one app. And, well, on one stock, you can buy it right then and there. That is important if you're doing that. But if it's long term and you're just basically investing the same amount of money over a long period of time, then this is the application for you. Now, last and finale here. If you made it all the way here, comment down invest so I know you made it here. And I'm going to give you like a little scenario here of how I invest, okay? The way I invest is I invest 20% of my income every time I get paid automatically into this portfolio. And every single 18 months to 12 months, I will go ahead and rebalance the entire portfolio if it is out of whack. But thankfully, because I'm investing frequently, I don't have to do that because the money's automatically being rebalanced whenever I invest it. So that way I don't have to sell anything whatsoever and I don't have to worry about taxes. My goal is to have enough money in here to retire by just taking off 4% of my portfolio size. This sounds like a lot and it is a lot of information, but just look up Invest Tommy Bryson on YouTube and watch more videos and you'll get a full perspective about how this stuff actually works. But it's the app I use, it's a great application, and I highly recommend it. Thanks for watching. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified. Comment down below any questions. If you disagree with me, comment down below why. I want to hear about it because that's what I'm here for. And on top of that, here's another video on my investment strategy for dividends. And here's another face to click and subscribe. And thanks for watching. Long-term team officially out. Follow me on Instagram at Tommy Bryson, and peace.